All right. Popping in early again. So thankfully it worked out. I wasn't going to ask Patrick to stay. It's a beautiful day today. We don't get many of those. And he was going to go up the mountain. Normally, Wednesday's a good day because I don't have any grandbabies. And it's not so bad anyway when it's just one of the grandbabies and not all three, which I never have all three on a Wednesday. But usually I don't have any, but because my son doesn't typically work on Wednesdays. So he watches the baby on that day. So that's why Wednesdays and Sundays are my days to shoot videos and do live shows because I don't have any grandbabies to interrupt. I thought about just going ahead and trying it, but it's hard to say, you know, what he could be getting into. And I might be so into talking to you guys that I just didn't think it was wise. So, hello to all my mods who've come in and everyone else. I'm not going to try to list off all the names, but I've been watching people coming in. I've been back and forth, trying to make sure, okay, do I have everything? And Deb even reminded me to make sure I have my water, which I did because that's important. My water and my elderberry spray for my throat when my vocal cords start swelling up, which they already are a little bit, unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and do my greeting. So hello, everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. Thanks for coming into the live show, or if you're watching the replay or the outtake, welcome. And God is good all the time. So I'm going to there I go again. I'll be getting into the questions I have written down in about 20 minutes. So those who wanted specifically the questions, but then again, I get questions in the first 15, 20 minutes anyway. But until then, I'm just going to chat about a few other things I thought you guys might find interesting. So first of all, I don't know if anyone noticed that this morning I changed the name of this channel just a bit. So I changed it to Rain Country Live instead of Rain Country 2. I just named it Rain Country 2 to keep it simple until I knew for sure what I was going to want to do with this. So anyway, I did make the decision that I am going to make this second channel so it can have something that makes it different from my main channel. I'm going to have this channel be for my live streams and also for shorts. It doesn't mean I won't still throw in some old videos over here that I've remastered. I might still keep doing that. I got a couple more yet to come out that are from I think 2017, a couple of old recipe videos that will be publishing, I think, next week. But mainly live shows and shorts is what we're looking at. So instead of doing the live shows on Sundays from the main Rain Country channel, I'll be doing Wednesdays and Sundays both here on this channel. So like I said, to set it apart, I've seen other people set up their channels that way. So that way, even if it looks like both channels will stay, at least there's going to be a difference between the two because some people don't like live shows anyway. And so, but I don't think they mind so much when I take the chunk of the live show out and just kind of edit it down to just the main topic. And then I can add pictures and stuff. And I still leave in a little bit of the chatter because it's funny, especially when Tyler comes in and we're all giving him a hard time and he's giving us a hard time and Patrick's in here. So yeah, that's what's going on. Excuse me. I better do the throat spray already. Don't get it on my white shirt because it'll destroy it. I'm wearing the dandelion chicken shirt again. Love this thing. So cute. But I'm afraid to wear it much because I will destroy it. I'm really terrible with wearing white. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting to get to the main questions, oh yeah, and I'll still be taking, since Linda said that about liking the shorter ones, I'll still be doing that. So I'll still be taking downloading the live from here and then shortening it up and putting it on the other channel. So I think I said that. I don't know if I said that, or maybe I didn't explain it entirely, but just to make sure. So that way, yeah, like I said, it kind of gives a couple of different things for each channel, so it can make them at least a little bit unique from each other. But anyway, so on Sunday, today is Wednesday. Sunday, I was showing you, I started off with that doll that one lady made, but then I was talking about the other one, the other lady made. And I have to hang her up like this because her head is very floppy because she's heavy. So everything about her pretty much is made by hand. So her head was all fashioned from clay. Her hands were all fashioned from clay, and her little boots. And then she's got a rag body. So anyway, I just tie this up and I have her hanging up more like an ornament. So she even made her little pantaloons, a patchwork skirt, the apron, and then the basket with the herbs in it. Isn't that cool? So that was a few years ago too that I've had her. You just don't see her because I don't have a good place to hang her, because I've tried to like have her sitting and her head kind of wants to flop over. So I decided it was best just to, because she had something, she already had something tied to the top of her head, I think, for being able to hang her up. But I made a longer string on there. So that was that. And there was something else. Oh, and I didn't think to link to this video down below, but I talk about this in the Monday, this and that. So I got another batch of just got it started like yesterday, of the herb infused oil for the hair growth oil. Supposed to help promote hair growth. So people having issues with hair growth, I have a video on that sorry I didn't get linked to down below, but if you watch my Monday, this and that video, the one coming out this coming Monday, I talk about the herbs I used in there and the castor oil, because now I use castor oil in there, but not just castor oil. I water it down or dilute it down or whatever, or carrier oil kind of thing, because I don't think castor oil would infuse super good if you use straight castor oil, and it's really thick anyway, but castor oil is really good for helping with hair growth as well. And then when it's all done, I'll add some essential oil to it. No, I don't sell it, in case anyone's thinking of asking. I did for a short period of time and decided it wasn't worth it. The part of the reason I didn't want to sell it in the first place is because I cannot guarantee it's going to help anyone. I'm not going to make claims that this is going to help you grow hair. So me selling that, and if it doesn't work for you, I'm going to, I don't know. But I started making it. I kind of came up with the idea years ago when we first went off the thyroid medication. And right after I did that was when I came down with the Epstein-Barr virus. Well, that will also make your hair fall out. So I don't know if it was from my body trying to adjust and not having the synthetic thyroid and just trying to do its job the way it's meant to, or if it's from the Epstein-Barr, which is probably that. So I started making myself just mostly with an infused red pepper, and then I would add essential oils to that. And then I started adding more herbs to it, like nasturtium, rosemary, sage, lavender. Those are all good to help promote hair growth. So yeah, if you're interested, I think it's better if people make it themselves. And then there goes my dumb light again. And then it's because my cord is kind of munched. It needs help. That way you can try it and see if it's even going to be helpful to you at all. Usually this time of the year is the only time I really have to deal with hair fall. Other than the normal daily hair loss. We all lose hair every day, we shed. But winter's always harder. I always think part of it's because we don't get as much sun. But every time I try to take D3 anymore, doesn't matter the brand, because they'll say, oh, it's from lack of vitamin D3. It always makes my hair fall out more, which tells me I'm getting plenty of D3, because too much D3 can actually make your hair fall out. There you go. It's really starting to itch. So I hope I can make it through this. And I don't have Patrick here to give me a break, so he can talk. I mean, he didn't go up the mountain, but he's getting some other stuff done. So what was I going to say? I know I got a couple questions already. Is that supposed to be? Yeah, supposed to be me. Sorry. The other one was supposed to be me too. That was the whole idea. So shiny metallic water juice. I'm going to be talking about that, by the way. See, I got something handy here. Just in case people don't understand what exactly it is I'm talking about. I'll be getting to that later if I can make it through, since my throat is already giving me fits. But anyway, what was I going to say? There was something else about the... Anyway, yeah, so what I do is I just rub... I forgot to say this in my Monday this and that. I just take like a little, maybe about a dime size amount of the oil and then rub it into my fingers and then just massage it into my scalp. Usually I'll do that right after I wash my hair. I didn't do that today, but then I just leave it in. People say, do you wash it out? Well, whenever I wash my hair next, yes. I mean, I might go a couple days without washing my hair, and sometimes I'll go ahead and apply that every day. But when I'm doing that, I do then, instead of just using the vinegar rinse like I most often do, then I'll go ahead and use either my homemade bar soap or the Dr. Jacobs soap. Otherwise, they'll get too much oil buildup. And if you have oily hair, it'd be something you'd want to put on before you go to bed and then just leave it on overnight. You know, just rub it into your scalp really good. And also know that just massaging your scalp does help with hair growth. You know, taking your fingernails and doing this, because it helps stimulate the, gets the blood flow going. And that blood flow will help stimulate hair growth. So, and let's see, some other things that have nothing to do with my Q&A was I got my latest order in yesterday of Shepherd's Crook coffee. You guys are going to get sick and tired of hearing me talk about it, but I love it so much. It's now the only coffee I want to drink. It's just everything else seems subpar. I think I'm really afraid I've become a coffee snob. But I really appreciate them because they're a small US-based business and faith-based as well. And they have the two that I got. I haven't tried this one yet. It's an espresso blend, but this one I did, this fireside blend. This is a seasonal one. So they're going to be not having it after, I think, the end of this month. But it's called the fireside blend, and it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I still think the Columbia is my very favorite, but anyway. So I need to boost my immune system before our yearly vacation. I think I need to take a little shiny juice for the couple of weeks before we leave. Let's see. What do you like about it? This, like smooth, just, yeah, it's not as bitter. I don't know. I just love it. And I don't always say this, but it's all organic. Now, it's not labeled. It doesn't have the USDA label on it because a lot of this stuff comes from small farms in these other countries that do grow their stuff organically, but they're too small to pay the cost of becoming certified. So the reason organically labeled food is so expensive usually is because of the cost to get that stupid little stamp on there. So with that verification, which is really means nothing. So, which is why I understand one point, this woman that wants to keep coming in and talking to me like I'm a moron and talk down to me and be condescending about using the word organic. She did it again this morning. It's like, why are you following me if you think that I'm either A, a liar, or B, a moron? Why do you keep coming in here? Unless it's just to try to make themselves feel better. And it's like, and I talked about this on Wednesday, but the one point that she does make, which I will agree with, is that, just because something is labeled organic does not mean that it's free from stuff that you may not want. You have to understand the way the labeling works. I mean, if it just says organic, USDA organic, that means it only has to be like, it's either 75% or 85% organic, organically grown, right? What you want is 100% organic. I would be more apt to trust a small farmer who's growing stuff organically and not using, I think it's in the description box, but all you have to do, I'm sorry, for those who are like watching this going, what is she talking about? I think I have the link down there to Shepherd's Crook Coffee, but it's just shepherdscrookcoffee.com. But when you go in there, just make sure if you're doing your first order, you put in RAIN 25, RAIN 25, and in the coupon code box, and you'll get 25% off your first order. So that's only for the first order. If you've ordered before, you won't get that. But at any rate, shepherdscrookcoffee.com. So what I was saying is that I would trust a small farmer that is growing things organically, especially with, I know with these guys, they're vetting all this stuff themselves. And or somebody local I know that grows, like there's a local lady, she's not, I don't think she's certified USDA organic, but I have no problem buying from her because I know how she grows her food. I know the way she thinks, which is very much like me. But to get all bent out of shape because something's called, because I might say this herb or that herb, especially the things I grow myself, because I know exactly how I grow them, or organic, is just silly. Yes, we know the definition of organic has to do with organic material. There's all kinds of organic material that nobody should be eating. Then you have inorganic material, right? So, but we all are smart enough to understand what the label is in reference to. So this person just needs to get off their high horse or they will find themselves blocked. So, well, they'll find themselves hidden from the channel, but they'll probably never know because they'll keep commenting and they'll see their comments, but nobody else will. That's how it works on YouTube. If you get hidden from a channel, you're the only one that can see your comments. I suspect there's a channel that I used to follow years ago and quit because of, they were a homesteading channel that will remain unnamed, but because of some drama they tried to stir up about my channel and then would claim, no, that wasn't me. I never approached them on it, but I know other people did, and they've done this with other channels as well. But I suspect I've been hidden from their channel too, even though I've never said anything rude, ever, never have called them out. But I just don't go there. I just avoid it. They have good things to teach, but they also like a lot of drama and they like to stir up hate and dissent between other YouTube channels, homestead YouTube channels, which is just silly and I don't get it. But some people feed off that. Anyway, that's a side issue. So I got a few more minutes here before I get into the actual questions. I don't know if there was anything else I was going to say. So was there, I know Linda was talking about keeping that stuff so she can use that. Sometimes I'll use that on my throat too. It helps. I put a little bit of peppermint oil in that one, and that really helps a lot. But that one's in the other room. I thought about bringing that one in. I have another one right here. This one's almost empty though. I need to top it off. But anyway, I'm going to talk about that more later when I get to the questions that are in reference to that. Leave the drama for your mama, people. Right, Trina? I mean, good gravy. I think sometimes that's the only reason why some people get on YouTube in the first place is so they can go around and start. I mean, I'm not just talking about content creators, but people that just like to go in and comment on stuff just so they can, I don't know. I think some people just have a really, really low self-esteem and they need to find something that they feel smart about and then use that to be very condescending and rude to other people to make themselves feel better about themselves. And all the while they're making themselves just look like nothing but a jerk. So Let's see. I'm gonna see if there's any other questions. Okay, I saw that. Saw that. So if there's anything I missed, I don't think so. Everybody's still kind of popping in. Of course, this is my second channel, so it doesn't have as many followers, which means not as many people will get a notification that I've come on live. But hopefully we can get the word out. People will know where to find me live because my subscription gain has slowed way down. But the good news is uh, I monetize to the point that I can get super chats and that kind of stuff. And I do have over 4,000 watch hours, but I still have several hundred more hours that still need to be verified by YouTube before I can start earning ad revenue. But we're getting closer, thanks to all of you helping me out, just letting my videos play in the background so that we can build up those watch hours. And I really appreciate that. Yes, Tracy. Yeah, I haven't really officially got into the topics. I like to come on early so it gives more people time to realize I'm here. And I see Maria's there. What's the coffee link? Did I answer that one? I answered that one, but I don't know if it's a different person asking. But just in case somebody wants to know again, it's shepherdscrookcoffee.com. Make sure you use the coupon code RAIN25 to get that 25% off your first order. So yeah, it's cool, huh? It's really great. See, hello from England and a prepper. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. I think it was a typo there. May need it soon. Oh, we may need it soon. Yeah. Yes. That just happens to me on Facebook. I used their selves instead of themselves in a post. We all do that, and then there's always got to be the grammar Nazis that come around. I mean, yes, we all like appropriate. I only find it really funny when it's somebody who's trying to make somebody else look stupid and then they use improper grammar and bad spelling. That's when it's funny. Otherwise, I can overlook it. We get typos all the time. Or the thing that tends to happen to me is I'll be typing along and go, no, I want to change the structure of that sentence and word it differently. But then I forget to change either the tense or, the right word to go with the way the sentence was structured. And then I feel stupid. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get into these questions. And let me start with I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having a brain cramp. I want to start with the quilt thing. So this quilt, on Sunday, I don't know why I keep thinking today's Sunday. Sunday's live, I was showing the quilt that goes on my freezer, which got me a couple questions that one I did answer, but one I kind of didn't quite fully cover. And so I brought this in because I'm going to talk about it different, something else about this particular one. But somebody was asking if I leave the freezer quilt on year round. Yes, I made the quilt to go on the freezer to stay there all the time, no matter what time of the year it is. So here's the thing. Whether you've got solar or public power or whatever, having a quilt over your freezer, not only if it's a chest freezer, not only does it make it look nicer, but it can, while you've got power going to it, it's still going to help conserve the power. So you're not using as much so that it's, you're making it more energy efficient by doing that. So, excuse me, that's why when I made the quilt, I made it to fit the top of that without being too big or too short, where all around the sides, it would not only just cover the top, because you can lose a lot out of the top, but also hang over the seals of the freezer. So the seals are where you tend to get a lot of leakage, especially if they're wore out. Which brings me to another point in regards to the freezer, because this was the one I came across that I was like, oh, I didn't see that when we were live. And somebody said that they made the quilt and they put it over their freezer, but the freezer seals are leaking and it made a mess. My guess is that maybe it made the quilt wet. If your freezer is leaking or causing a lot of condensation, you might have bad seals. So this is in the freezer that we keep in the house, this big, huge chest freezer. We have another one out in the shop that's really old, and it does tend to build up a lot of condensation on the top, but I think part of that's because it's outside or out in the shop. But one thing that's going to help prevent on your chest freezers, that's going to help prevent your seals getting damaged is don't put, no, you haven't missed it, longevity rituals. I haven't got to that question yet. I will. Don't put heavy things on your freezer, and don't use your freezer to climb on top of to get to other things. Get a step ladder. I had to learn this one too. Patrick was the one that was getting on to me about it when we were, early on in the marriage. I wouldn't have known. It's like, oh, it's something to climb on because I'm short, right? I'm 5 foot tall. I got to climb up on stuff to get, to the top cabinets. Just there goes my light again. I think part of it is because I keep hitting my damaged cord. Sorry. But yes, if you're climbing on top of your chest freezer or putting heavy objects on top of it, you will damage the seals. And then you'll make your freezer a lot less efficient. So that is an important point to know in case you missed it in a previous live from way back, when I first started doing lives again. Now, coming back to this quilt I made from, I mentioned it, I can't remember if I can't remember what video I recently mentioned it in or if it was in a live. Well, this one was made from all secondhand stuff. So there's like some old wool sweater in here that I found at a garage sale. This dark gray was a wool blanket I found at a garage sale that had a big hole in it. And that's why I decided to use that. But a lot of this, like this here, is wool sock tops. So when the bottom of the sock would get wore out, instead of darning it like I normally would, I decided to save. These were the cheaper socks, by the way, not the darn tough ones. But anyway, I would cut the tops off, open them up, and then, get them as square as possible. And then I made a quilt out of it. However, now what you're seeing is a bunch of patches from other wool socks because the gray in particular, and it was a baby sweater. It must have been very old. I use this quilt quite a bit on the couch. It's very warm, but they so thin that they've been, holes have been getting in them. So I just started throwing patches. Now there weren't that many holes, but what I'll do is I'll throw more patches on there just to, just so you don't have a patch here and here and here, and then nothing over here, just to kind of keep it looking uniform. But I love this quilt. I found another hole though, just like recently. And again, in the dark gray. I don't know how old that wool blanket was, but definitely a hole I need to patch yet again. So that was an update I wanted to do on that quilt since I was talking about quilts. Now, on the freezer, do not cover the fan vents. Good point. Yes, ours are at the bottom. I didn't even think about that. Ours are at the bottom, so I didn't think about it because I just want it long enough to cover around the seal. So that, to hold all that in. But if you get it long enough that's covering, it's almost impossible to open and it's getting in the way. I keep rolling over my skirt here. So now to the, excuse me. Again, to the fermentation question, since somebody really wanted to hear this one. Somebody asked, now I get lots of questions on this stuff, and feel free to ask if, more questions in here if you want. But on Sunday's show, somebody was asking if my ferments, when I use my fermentation starters, like you saw in the thumbnail, which I did link to that video in the description box. It's my most recent fermentation starter video where I talk about how to make it, the things you can use to make it, how simple it is, and all the wonderful things you can use it for. So this question was in regards to, when you use a fermentation starter, does it make whatever you're fermenting taste like the starter? Generally speaking, no, because the flavor is so mild in most cases that, like when I'm making kimchi, which is, it's got a lot of strong flavor in it because you got the cabbage, the onions, the garlic, the red pepper. Um, no, doesn't matter what fermentation starter I use, I don't taste that. There's been something I used a starter in, like maybe I was making a fermented fruit juice, so like making a soda, that I could slightly taste whatever it was. It was a berry flavor, and it didn't matter because, you know, what I was making, it just actually added a nice extra flavor to it. But in most cases, no, it does not change the flavor. If I have a ginger bug or a ginger fermentation starter, I'm more apt to use that one when I'm making kimchi. But if I don't have that handy, I'll use whatever's there. Whatever one's the most active and ready to go. I usually try to always have at least 2 at all times. And because sometimes I'll use one and then once I use it, I want to give it time to feed it, add some more water, and give it a day to really get bubbly again. So I don't want to, if I've already done that and I realize, oh, I was wanting to ferment this today too, then I can just grab one of the other fermentation starters and do the same thing. So let's see. I have command hooks on top of the chest freezer attached to quilt, easier to, good idea. Good plan. Okay, so then another question I saw when I was going through the chat. So remember, when you put your questions in all caps, that not only makes it easy, the whole thing in all caps, that not only makes it easier for me to read and spot that there's a question directed at me, that it also means that when I go back over the chat to, put videos together like this, I can just scroll through there. I can scroll through the chat in the replay and look for anything that's in all caps. And I'll say, okay, I answered that one. I answered that one, but I'm going to go ahead and cover it again. Or, there's one I completely missed. So that's why the all caps is for your questions directed at me are really important. So the next one, the honey. So I've had this, it's funny because I used to never, ever, ever get this question. And all of a sudden, hi, Tyler. Yeah, I'm sure you are busy. But thank you for stopping in. And we saw your comment there on Patrick's second video on the Volkswagen that published today. Anyway, the question is, and I don't know where this suddenly started out of the blue, but you can tell when, you've been putting out videos for 8.5 years. And all of it, you've been doing a lot of things. There's things I've changed along the way, yes, but a lot of the things that I've been doing the same all the time, or those videos have been out there for that long and not still getting interaction. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this happened with the castor oil and plastic. Nobody ever said a word about it until about a year or so ago. All of a sudden, people are freaking out about castor oil and plastic. Not to say that storing it in glass isn't a better idea. It's always a better idea to store in glass if you can. Well, I shouldn't say always. Sometimes there's situations where glass isn't going to be the best idea. But then this one was in regards to using metal in honey. So I actually did a separate video just on this because suddenly people were just coming in freaking out about seeing me use a stainless steel spoon in my raw honey. Just, oh my gosh, people just right and left. I mean, some people were asking honest questions, but then you get the people that want to, and it's like, oh, come on, people. You learn all the facts before you start lecturing people. So here's the thing. Some people might not even realize that when raw honey is processed, I mean, when they're spinning the blank when they're spinning the honeycomb to get the honey out, they're using stainless steel equipment. Look it up. Stainless steel can be used with honey. It can be used with bentonite clay. That's the other one people freak out about when they see people using metal with. And it can be used with ferments. All three of those. The reason why is because it's non-reactive. You don't have to worry about it changing the property of the honey, the property of your ferments, or the property of your bentonite clay. It's not a concern. Stainless steel is safe. We don't use aluminum here. We use stainless steel. So yes, it is totally fine as long as it's stainless steel. You can even buy extraction of honey frames in steel extractor. Yes. You can even buy, what are they called? The little honey dippers. You can get them in wood, but you can also buy them in stainless steel. So it's just before you jump on a bandwagon and freak out because somebody over here said something, make sure you look up all the facts, especially before you start lecturing people and trying to make them feel like they're stupid. Learn all the facts first. I've made that mistake before, heard something and because I did that when I was fermenting. So for the longest time, when I first started making kimchi, and this was back when my oldest son was like 5 or 6. I know because I remember him being 6 years old and loving the kimchi, even though I make it really hot. But I was making kimchi. I would first put all the cabbage into a big stainless steel bowl and then put the salt on there, let it break down. And then I would rinse it out, leave it overnight, and I'd rinse it out. And then I'd add my other vegetables, and I'd do all that in this stainless steel bowl. And I read somewhere that you shouldn't let your fermented foods or foods you're going to ferment touch metal at all. And so oh no. And so I went, when I saw it at an auction, I found a big glass punch bowl, just not a fancy one. I was like, it was perfect. It was just looked like a big massive bowl. I'm like, this would be perfect for my kimchi. So I bought that and that's all I'd make my kimchi in from that point on. Well, come to find out, it was never even necessary. I could have still kept using the the stainless steel. And besides, it hadn't started fermenting anyway. But whatever. I mean, it's just, so I'm guilty of that too. I'm not trying to make anyone else feel stupid for, just latching on to something, running with it, because I've been guilty of this many times. I understand. Just want to make sure that's clear. So harvesting honey changes its property from the bee's property to mine. Absolutely. One of these days we might get bees. It's really a little bit tricky here. There's people that do it. In fact, I've got some just really amazing honey from some local people before. But you have to take a little extra care because of that massive amounts of rain that we get, especially through the winter and the storms. So you want to be able to make sure that your hives, your boxes are put in a place where they can stay relatively safe from too much rain and wind. My friend, when they were keeping bees, which was one of the people that I got honey from before, she was the same one that used to give us raw goat's milk too, until she had to stop doing all that. But they had their boxes set up towards the back of the property, but he made a nice cover over the top of it and used polycarbonate over it so it would stay dry in there. And that was a very wise thing. And that's, if we ever do bees, I'll do something like that, but I probably wouldn't do it here. I'd probably go do it at the other piece of property just down the road, but we'd have to build something to help keep them more protected from all of that rain. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Jenny. That's what I'm talking about doing out there, but we'd still have to build some kind of cover because I wouldn't feel comfortable just having them out in the open and um, making them more susceptible to getting, you know, drowned out with so much rain because the wind starts blowing and that rainwater just ends up. If you ever saw Forrest Gump, it's kind of the big joke that, and we had rain coming in from the side and coming up from the ground. That's kind of what it's like here. It's yeah, it comes from all sides. Okay, so yes, raw goat's milk can be so good if it's if they've been eating the right stuff and didn't get into something that makes the flavor nasty, or if the females have been kept separate from the males. I ended up with one time from another lady I was buying milk from. One of the half-gallon jars of milk she gave me was clearly that goat had been near a male and rut. It was really awful. So, yeah. But she just took it back and gave me a different one. She next time I saw her, she just brought me another one and I gave her that back. So that was cool. Okay. Let's move on. So I answered those questions. Okay, so the next one was about this stuff. You guys know what this is. Okay, I'm afraid to even say what this is because I don't know. So this is a precious metal. You can see what color it is, so you know what precious metal I'm talking about. These are obviously brand new ones that I haven't used to make the infused water with. I'll have to put it that way. I tell you, I don't know what to say anymore. So that is what's in here. I store it once I make it. I store it in dark bottles like this, or I have a couple of bottles like this with the spray. And this one I need to refill. And so the question was, somebody was saying they were trying to find the video where I was talking about where to buy this stuff. So where to buy your precious metals. So all of the videos in relation to this can only now be found on Rumble. I've taken everything down that I could find that's from YouTube and put it over on Rumble, and even did a couple videos where I just reshot them anyway. And one of them also includes the video Patrick did several years ago on how to make the generator for yourself. But we also do sell. He still makes the generators and sells them. So rancountryhomestead@gmail.com if you would like a product list. But if you want to just learn how to make one for yourself, you can go to the Rumble channel. Is always linked in the description box. Go to the playlist tab and scroll down until you see the playlist on the precious metals. There's 2 mentioned in it. So along with that was another question that I feel like I can still answer. Oh, somebody was asking about a good deodorant. Well, that was another video I took down from this because I really kind of got paranoid because I mentioned this stuff in my deodorant video. That's actually the number one thing I use now with a little bit essential oil. So I use spray bottle, and in the other bathroom I have this liquid with a little bit of peppermint oil in it, because I also find it works really good if I get an itchy rash of any kind. I spray that on there. It kills whatever's causing it, and then the peppermint oil soothes it. But I've even used it for brushing my teeth with, but I like to use it as a deodorant. But you can use whatever essential oil in there you want. So if you're using it as a deodorant, maybe you're a guy, you want a more masculine smelling deodorant. You can just add like cedarwood oil. You can add patchouli. I actually find I really like cedarwood and patchouli mixed together because I make Patrick's deodorant. He uses a dry powder, but I use those 2 in his. A pine, whatever. There's many out there that can make great ones. You can do some citrus oils. One of my favorite scents are blends to use for a scent, for aroma, like a perfume, is a blend of clove and orange oil. In fact, I have a little bottle of the two oils mixed together, and I'll just dab a little bit like this if I'm going anywhere. And somebody, I'll walk in, someone go, kind of, it smells really spicy and yummy in here. Oh, that's me. It's me. If you're talking kombucha, I'm not the person. I don't know why. A lot of people, for some reason, think I do kombucha, and I'm the Stacy would be the one to talk to. I've made kombucha many times. In fact, I would say I first learned about it, and we called it mushroom tea, probably about 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Gosh, I don't what it might even been before I had kids. So it might have been more than 30 years ago. Could have been 35 years, 34, I don't know. And I was making it for a while. I got a SCOBY. We just called them mushrooms because we didn't know they were called SCOBYs. And of course, even if we did, we probably didn't know what SCOBY stood for, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. I got it from my sister-in-law because she was making it and drinking it. And so she told me how. And so I started doing it, and I did it for a while. But then I finally decided, you know what, this just isn't for me. And then a few years ago, after I started my channel, I don't know where I got a SCOBY from. It wasn't one I got from my vinegar. Or was it? But anyway, I started making I made some again and decided, nope, no, nope, not my thing. So I don't have any videos on kombucha. But here's the thing. All kombucha is, in my personal opinion, after years and years of making my own homemade vinegar, all it is tea vinegar. That's all it is. It's vinegar made from tea. And people just keep recycling the little mushroom thing, the SCOBY. Well, you can get SCOBYs on your apple vinegar. And I mean, any vinegar can get a SCOBY on it, but you're going to see it most predominantly on peach, apple, and pear. My peach vinegars. I know I've said this a billion times. My peach vinegars get the biggest, healthiest SCOBYs, and you can even take those and just brew up your black tea, throw in one of those, and make yourself some kombucha. And you can do that. So anyway, making and using the shiny metal elixir. You know what? I think I like that one. Shiny metal elixir. Somebody else called it juice. A metal juice. But I got to check. Let's see. I'm making my first vinegar. It quit bubbling about a week ago. I started it at least 5 to 6 weeks ago. Oh, it was bubbling for a long time. Usually the typical bubbling time is 2 to 3 weeks, typically. But it's still going to need time to. It says it smells horrible, not like beer, nothing like vinegar. Throw it away. I can't. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you made your vinegar out of. You got a peach there. Is that peach vinegar? I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe give it one more week and see if it changes. Because usually once the bubbling stops, it still needs a couple more weeks. This is where the oxygen exposure is most necessary. It's still going to need 2 more weeks to convert the alcohol in there to acetic acid. So it may still need 1 more week. Maybe wait 1 more week and see if you can handle the smell. I don't know. It's really hard for me I would have to smell it myself, because I've had some vinegars that didn't smell so great. So, but peach should have a fine smell. But I'll tell you something about nasturtium flower vinegar. It has a very sulfur smell to it. And I always forget to say that because I forget about it. But during that fermenting process, initially, it will smell a lot like sulfur. Once it's done, it does not. But so different mediums can make a different smelling and tasting vinegar, though most should be pretty close and have at least a bit of an essence of whatever it was you used. So maybe a little taste of peach or a little taste of pineapple to it. It's apple? Oh, is that an okay. Even yeah, apple shouldn't smell horrible, but it's hard to say. So, um, and Diametra says her husband got a SCOBY from orange vinegar. So you can't I get them sometimes on my herb vinegar, so it's not common. I do get them sometimes. Usually they're pretty thin, like paper. Um, use the shiny juice for pink eye. Yep. I've used it in my dog's eye when he had an infection. And my previous dog, Angel, she would get eye infections quite often because well, she was Chihuahua. She didn't have the really big buggy eyes like some Chihuahuas do, but she was still right at that level where and my grapevines were still very low to the ground and she would scratch her eyes on my grapevines. I finally figured out that must have been what she was doing and then get infected. And this stuff right here would just cure it right up. But let me move on here. Let's see. I covered the quilt, covered the deodorant. There's other types of things you can use as deodorant. You can just use plain coconut oil if you want, or coconut oil mixed with uh, baking soda. When I make the powder deodorant, like I say, I have a recipe out there. I use a combination of like a tapioca starch, some kind of starch, and the baking soda. Because baking soda alone can be a little harsh, it would make Patrick's armpits break out. So when I spread that out where I was using like a half and half blend, that didn't bother him. Because the cornstarch also, or whatever starch you use, usually I'm using arrowroot or tapioca. It also is very soothing and it helps to absorb moisture. So, but it's powder, so you brush it on or whatever. Okay, and then this is one of the ones I missed on the night sweat. So a guy was asking about his wife, and she's just going into menopause. So that was another video I did link to down below on natural care for menopause. But in that video, I wasn't talking about the linen sheets because I didn't have linen sheets yet, hadn't tried them yet. And when it comes to night sweats, linen sheets, absolutely. Linen pajamas. If you can afford the linen sheets and the linen pajamas, it's a game changer. So I bought the linen sheets to try them out. Liked them so much, I bought a second set. So I could keep, every time I wash sheets, strip the bed down, put on a clean set just like that. Everything's ready to go. And then I bought some linen fabric and made myself about 3 sets of linen pajamas. Well, 2 full sets for certain, and 1 top to go with one of my flannel bottoms, because usually it's your upper half that gets the hottest. So, and I know a lot of you ladies understand that one. But so hopefully that guy's watching or his wife's watching. Linen sheets and pajamas or nightgown if you prefer nightgowns. It'll help a lot. Keeping a fan in the room, or this time of year, I don't have to have the fans going. I just crack the window open a little bit and usually all's well. So what do we get here? See. So bad. It could be Mom Bear. Because it seems like actually I tend to get if I'm going to get hot flashes, they happen more this time of the year because sometimes our Patrick gets a rip roaring fire going. Like right now, he's trying to uh, burn up a lot of stuff in his shop because he's working on cleaning it up, and he wants to get a rip roaring fire going to get all that burned up. And I'm like, I can't take it. And I have to go open the door because then it sends me into hot flashes. But yeah, the skirts now that I wear all around the house. I have others I might wear every once in a while, but it's pretty much 99% of the time I'm wearing the linen skirts I made and the linen bloomers I made to go under them. Love it. keep me warm and cool, depending on what they need, depending on the situation. So and anyway, so also look into ashwagandha. It can be very helpful. There's a lot of other herbs that can be helpful that I cover in that video that I link to down below. So don't forget to click on show more to be able to find all these links. Let's see. Somebody also asked, and I'm not positive what they were in reference to, but was asking where I get my labels. And excuse me, I assume they are talking about the labels I use on my skin cream tins or even on my wine bottles. They're just Avery labels. I find them on Amazon. I'm sure you can find them probably, like we don't have a local Walmart or anything like that, but you can probably find them in any place that carries that kind of stuff, office supplies. But I just get them on Amazon, like for the smaller tins, which I'll probably eventually discontinue. But for the 2-ounce tins, they're 2-inch round labels. And then for the 4-ounce, I think that's right. And then for the 4-ounce tins, they're 2.5-inch round labels. And then I use the square labels for the back, for the underside to put the ingredients. So, yeah, that's what I get. And then for the wine bottles, if you ever see pictures of those, it's the arched bottle labels. I don't always use those on the wine bottles, only if I'm going to gift them, if I think I'm going to gift them, or if I think I'm going to use them for barter. That's when I like to have those on there so they look nice, but not just for us. Any suggestions on head congestion with ear pressure and hissing sound? Well, here's an old-fashioned method. Do you remember the old steaming method? Yeah, even just taking a hot shower, but if you don't want to do that, just take a pan, fill it up with hot water, get it to where it's boiling, and then remove it from the heat, and then just put your face over it, and then make sure you're breathing through your nose as best you can to get that hot steam up into your sinuses. That's going to help. You can also consider throwing in some herbs in there that can also help, like making a peppermint tea or something like that. Then there's also your hot mustards like horseradish or wasabi. Take a little dab of that and just eat it, and that's going to help open things up in there. There's a lot you can do that can really help to open up. I see. Yes, I was going to say the ACV and cayenne steams is what I do. There you go. I mean, sometimes it's just as simple as doing the water, but when it's me, I usually throw some kind of herbs in there that I know are also going to be helpful. So yeah, mullein is another good one, like Trina said, because mullein is just really good for lung health in general anyway. Any respiratory issues. Okay, there was a couple more questions. Okay, the labels. I guess there was only. Oh, I had another thing I wanted to talk about that wasn't a question, but this one also was not a question, but somebody had mentioned, and I don't want this to sound like anything negative, but somebody had mentioned that people could use coupons to help them stock up on foods. And while, yes, that can be an option, it really depends on where you're using them. If you're talking about just a regular grocery store, the problem with a lot of the coupons that are given, if you're paying attention, they're typically for things that are higher priced prepackaged foods anyway that really aren't great. This was a realization I made at a very young age. I'd see coupons in the local newspaper because we actually used to get those. And I go, oh, cool. I've never tried that, or I haven't had that in a long time. I'm going to go ahead and use this coupon and get some. What was it? It was usually something I would never buy anyway, because it was something that was, it was some prepackaged stuff that I really didn't need. And I got to think, and it just struck me one day. It's like, Why are coupons always for this kind of stuff? It's never for, oh, here's a coupon for some fresh fruits and vegetables. No, you don't have coupons for those things. Now, you can get coupons for non-edible foods that or non-edible foods. It's not food if it's not edible. For non-edible items like maybe laundry detergent or something, but then again, if you're making your own laundry detergent out of really, really cheap things, you're not going to want to use those coupons anyway. So usually they're for things that just cost more anyway. So typically you're not really saving money unless that's all you consist off of is prepackaged foods and you haven't got yet into making your own deodorants and tooth powders or toothpastes or whatever. So just keep that in mind. There are places coupons can be used. Like a lot of times you go to, Amazon will have coupons you can clip if it's something you're going to buy anyway. And it's like, oh, I was going to buy this anyway. That's cool. I got a coupon I can clip. Vitacost will have coupon codes, just like the Shepherd's Crook has a coupon code. But when it comes to like cutting coupons, most of the time it's a waste of time and you're only spending more money buying things that you probably wouldn't buy otherwise. So yeah, I remember when one day I was at the store and I was looking at this stuff I was thinking of buying because I had these coupons. I'm like, well, this is dumb. I'm not saving any money doing this. I'm just spending more money on stuff I normally wouldn't buy. So yeah, just some food for thought when it comes to using coupons. Really pay attention. A lot of times the coupons are to get you to buy a product you don't need. Not always, but a lot of times. Is the metal elixir only for topical use? No. It can be used internally. We do take a small shot of it every now and then when we feel maybe we need it. And I did mention earlier, even though I have my elderberry tincture, so for when my vocal cords start swelling, I always keep this handy when I'm doing a show because I have nodules on my vocal cords. So they're kind of rough today again. And so if they start getting itchy, I spray that on there because it's an alcohol based. I don't remember which alcohol. It is a spirit based tincture. And so it does a couple of things. The spirit, just by spraying it straight back there, will numb the vocal cords. And then the herbs that are in there, which is mostly elderberry in this case, will also help. All right. It's just good for the help. If I might be getting a cold, which isn't the case, then that's going to help with that. But I've also used the precious metal elixir with this essential oil peppermint and sprayed it back there. And that's also quite helpful, especially when it gets rough, starts to really get itchy and sore. Hi, Cody. You can come in here. Here, Cody tiptoeing in here. Come here, doggy. You want to say hi to everybody? It's like I think he must have been sleeping and just realized he was in the other room alone. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come up and say hi to everybody. Look at him. He's getting old, guys. He's getting gray around his eyes. Right here. He didn't used to have this gray here. And then I noticed the white spreading out on his muzzle a little bit more too. He's getting old. I think he's 10. I think him and his sister are 10. I know that's not really old for a dog, but then again, small dogs can be pretty wound up sometimes. His sister's the worst for barking at everything. So let's see. What was it? What did I see here? So we will get Heidi to keep spraying a lot and see if she starts slurring. It was funny. I was thinking that, Trina. It's like, it's such a small amount that no, but I would have to spray quite a bit down my throat to feel any effects down it. And I'm not going to do that. It is great though. And that's why I like it that way, because I can control, not only can I spray it directly to the back of my throat, I can control the amount where, like, if you put it in like a little shot glass and you're trying to sip it, which I've done that before too, then I kind of let it run down my throat. But the spray makes it so much easier to get it right where I need it. And then it's just a tiny little amount. Let's see, what was that? Since it's weak and no bleach smell, what did I miss? Did I miss something? Or am I just not, am I just not getting it? Because, that happens. Or sometimes something just goes, whoo. I do think there was something else I was going to say about the precious metal elixir. I don't remember what it was. I do know that I'm so happy my throat. When I first started, and it was starting to get itchy. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to even get to my questions. What's a precious metal elixir? Okay, I'll try to back it up, Linda. So a precious metal like this particular one, that is basically infused into a water. The reason I'm not saying what it is because YouTube has added it to one of their taboo topics. So we have to be very, very careful. That's why people shouldn't even be saying what it is in the chat or in comments, because it's gotten me in trouble a few times. Yeah. This is why I've had a few videos removed because of it. And I then removed all the rest of them that I could find, so that it doesn't happen again. Because right now I have another 13 days to go before the last warning I got finally gets removed from my channel. Can a fermentation starter turn to wine in the fridge? Yes, it can. It will keep, even though it's in the fridge and the fridge slows it down and almost puts it in, in a hibernation. Not quite. The longer it sits, the more. In fact, I pulled one out today or yesterday, and I noticed it smelled like wine. It's probably still good. Usually, once it goes completely to wine, it may not work as a fermentation starter, but you can use it for something else. If you can get it fizzy again, it'll be fine. Sometimes if it has any little bit of fizz left to it, you can just add a little bit of sugar to it, set it on your counter and let it sit for a day to 3 days, and it will get fizzy again. Or you could just make a new one. Just, as easy as they are to make, they're so, only takes 3 days, 4 to 5 days if your house is really chilly. The colder it is, the longer it's going to take. But anyway, so another thing I wanted to show you, because I sometimes forget about this. I mentioned it before, and I just shot a video this morning that obviously is going to be 6 weeks before it publishes on the main channel, about where I was talking. Well, I won't say what I was talking about. I'll let it be a surprise. But I did bring this up. Some people may know what this is. So I want to see how many people recognize this in the chat and know exactly what it is. I can't see. I need my glasses to be able to see. Anyway, you thread this through this big fat needle. Does anybody recognize this? Let's see who can get what this thing is. And in the meantime, if you can get your hands on one of these, I got our local store has these. That's where I first found mine. I paid $13 for it. I'll show you what the box looks like. And I couldn't find it. I don't know if I let somebody borrow it and never got it back. So I bought another one. The box looks like this. Of course, it says what it is. Darn it. What's this say? Oh, I'll try to get to that. No. So, sewing all kit. This is an all. So what this is for, I mean, they might be very similar. What this is doing up here. The all is for being able to repair heavy things. So I got a couple of these things, and there's a couple of different types of needles. I've used it quite a bit. Well, my old one, I don't know if I needed to use this one, but I bought it. So since I never could figure out what happened to the one I had, I use that one a lot. Do people that have how-to videos on making precious metal juice get away with it by not saying it's medicine? It's probably because they just haven't been caught yet. It seems to me any mention of it, no matter what it's about, can get you in trouble. Because from what I understand, can't mention it at all. It just means they haven't been caught yet. That's all. So back to the all. So when my kids were young, we had trampoline. I'm all about, excuse me, I'm all about making things last as long as possible, especially if you're going to invest. Now, we only paid $200 for that trampoline, and it even came with the net, got it at Walmart, but I made that thing last through their whole childhood. It did get a couple, it did have some straps that came undone, that ripped away from the mat. I eventually had to replace the pad that went on top of the springs. And we ended up with a couple holes in the mat. I used shoe goo to repair the holes. Usually I'd have to repatch them once a year because they didn't, after winter and sitting out in the elements all year round, it would just need to be repatched. No big deal. But when the straps would come undone that held the spring, hook the spring to the mat, that was what I used the awl for. Because you're talking heavy, heavy stuff here. So you got this real thick strap, 2 layers of it, of this thick strap that holds the hook that the spring hooks into, or holds the eye. And then you got the mat itself, which is thick. And so you got these 3 really thick layers. And it's not like you can just take that and go stick it under your sewing machine. So I would use that awl, and I would just go out there and repair the straps. And I swear they were stronger after I was done than they were when they were brand new. And then another time I used it was our martial arts instructor. He had some heavy bags that were so old, they had been abused so much, and the straps, I don't know how it came up, but he was talking about how he wanted to use his heavy bags, but he's afraid to use them because the straps are all starting to come off. So I said, well, show them to me. So I went and looked at them, and I'm like, I can fix this. So all I got to do is bring my awl in, and I'll come into class next week early, and then I'll just fix them for you. And I did. And he was able to use them again, and he was so pleased. And because you're talking about a heavy bag, and you're talking some, again, very thick straps, and I was able to get that to where he could start using his heavy bags again. And that was nice. So I recommend, if you can, I know you can, like I said, I know you can find these. It looks just like this. You can find them on Amazon, or just like, for us, it's in our local grocery store, because our grocery store has one whole side of it. Well, it started off as a grocery store many years ago, but they've expanded on. We just have one big store when it comes to stuff like that. It's got everything, it's got the groceries, it's got the, it's kind of like what you think of like a big Fred Meyer or maybe a super Walmart, except for it's a locally owned store. And anyway, it's got the true value side. So the hardware side, and you can find kitchen appliances and stuff like this over there. So you might be able to find it local. I know that when I bought the first one, I paid $13 for it, but I think when I bought this one, it was over 20, but it's still relatively inexpensive to have something where you can fix heavy duty stuff like that. Now, I highly doubt there's many of you that are going to need to fix a heavy bag or a trampoline, maybe, but there may be other things like that, some backpacks or something that have thick, heavy straps that are coming apart. They are so great. It's just really great to have one of these on hand. So I really recommend it. It doesn't even take up that much room. It's a small little thing. Like I said, it comes with this little kit. I'm sure you can find other ones, but this little kit, it comes with instructions. And one of these days I should do a video showing how to use it. And it comes with a couple of different types of needles. One's more curved than the other. I think this one is, no, it looks the same as the other one. Or that is the other one. Well, it has stuff on the inside. And then you get extra, it's got this stuff in there already. Let's see, how does this work? It's been so long since I've used it. At any rate, I think you store your needles and stuff in here. along with that, the thread or whatever you call it. It's called thread. I think of thread as being very thin, but anyway, I highly recommend that. It's a very useful tool. My favorite awl is 75 years old. A nail was driven into a piece of hardwood and the nail head ground off to a point. Very cool. Very cool. So it was just something somebody made by hand. I'm guessing it wasn't like something they went and bought that way. Metal taste in my mouth. Oh, the feeling. Oh, that's right. Somebody was asking about amalgam. I have fillings from when I was a kid. I haven't looked into having them removed. I've thought about it because I've heard about people doing it. It just sounds like such a horrible process. It might be a good idea though. Okay, a family member made it. Very cool. So, and then this is like a total, I grabbed it before I sat down when I saw it there because I have, as you guys know, if you watched my latest video on the library, expanding your self-sufficiency library, I have a lot of old books on hand of all various kinds. A lot of them are books for kids, and I've got a couple that are medical. I got a couple of I got a couple of cookbooks. Probably the most recent would be like, I know there's one over there, a candy cookbook. I don't even know where it came from. It's 1970. That's probably the most recent. I have some that go back to like late 1800s. And this isn't a cookbook. This is a reader. It's so well used. I mean, the pages are just falling apart that I'm kind of afraid to use it, but I love to collect old books. And it's got a torn page in the beginning. It's got somebody's name in here and scribbles. And anyway, so this is it says New Education Readers Book 2. And I just love to collect stuff like this. And a lot of great stories. Like here's one. It says, How Hay is Made from Grass. And if I do ever start, if the time ever allows, I've thought for years about starting a channel for kids, mostly for the sake of my grandbabies, especially if anything happens to me. What I'd like to do is have a channel or some videos where I've read stories. And I kept going, how am I going to do that though? Because like there's going to be a lot of the books within the past 100 years that are, they're going to be copywritten, and you can't just get on there and read books that have a copyright on them. You can get in trouble. But it dawned on me, I was like, wait a minute, I've got all these books. Like this is 1900. If I didn't say it, the copyright in this is not 1900. So it's more than, this is a 125-year-old book right here. Anything that's 100 years old or more is no longer under the copyright law. So it just dawned on me. I was like, wait, I have all these old books. I have a whole set of readers over there that are still like brand new. That there's 10 books in the series, and it starts with, I think I said this in that library video, it starts with the first one is like for preschool age, and then it works each book. So they introduced a new book in the series each year. And the first one came out in 1901, 1900 or 1901. There's a total of 10 books. And so the newest one is like 1910 or 1911, which means they're all over 100 years old, which means I have a lot of books and stories that I can start reading and not have to worry about getting a copyright strike, including stuff from here. And I have those other readers. I have at least one of them that's like 1898 or something, that also very delicate like this. they're very, very delicate. So you'd have to be, this one's probably the worst though. This one I think is worse than the other 3 readers that I have that are super old. But so I couldn't just let the kids play with them, but it would be something I could read and do. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. The thing I like about Rumble is you can have several channels under one account. That's part of the reason why there's 2 Rain Country Homesteads there, because I have a main controlling account, and then I have the Rain Country Homestead channel where all the playlists for that are. But from that controlling account, I can also have like maybe Rain Country for Kids, or I can have as many channels as I want and control them all from one account instead of having to log into different accounts like you do on YouTube to be able to access your different channels that you have. So I'm thinking about it. It's the time issue, but I kind of really like the idea of having that there for the grandbabies, because I'm not going to be here forever. And it'd be a way that they could have something that can get passed down to future generations even. Obviously, I would keep them. Well, they wouldn't be able to access it even if I have it on an external hard drive if if everything is gone, but if all technology gets taken away, but you know, it'd be some kind of form. So I'm thinking about it. I really need to pray about it because I would need to make that extra time. Now, as it is right now, my daughter-in-law, my oldest son's wife, she has Jackson and Rowan and a third one on the way with her. So yesterday was her last day of work. I'll still be watching Jackson and Rowan once a week. I'll have them for a few hours every Tuesday while Jace is also here. So the cousins have time to spend together, and that will give her a day where she can just do whatever she wants and whatever she needs to do. If she needs to run into Port Angeles and make a Costco run and pick up stuff for her cake making business, well, it's not just cakes. She's doing everything anymore. She's amazing. She makes the best cakes I've ever had. And cupcakes, cookies, her croissants are so good, bagels, and she's always adding stuff, scones, and she gets good business. So she didn't even need her outside the home job anymore. So it's pretty cool. So she'll get to stay home with her kids. She's going to homeschool. But yeah, but my point in bringing that up is that won't have all 3 grandbabies except for one day of the week. And then just having Jace usually 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week. It's just one, so it's a little easier to work around him. So maybe I'll be able to make time to do something like that. But we do read to the kids. In fact, Jace today, he was here for a few hours today, and he kept bringing, what was the book? Hop on Pop. No, it wasn't Hop on Pop. Was it? It was one of those books he kept bringing over to Papa to read to him. I think it was Hop on Pop. There's another one he really likes out of the. Oh, Are You My Mother? It's not a cat in a hat, but a lot of people associate it with a cat in a hat, or with Dr. Seuss, excuse me. He really likes the Are You My Mother story, and so he's always wanting Papa to read that to him. So twice Papa had to read that to him today on the couch. But I love that. That's why I bought those books. That's why I've got books like these. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. They know where I keep those books. I mean, I keep the delicate ones. I don't want them just handling those because they'll fall apart. But like the newer ones, the little golden books and all that, I keep them in a cabinet in the living room. Like there's different cabinets in there. So they make good end tables, but they're also little cabinets where I can stuff toys. Like one has Lincoln Logs in it, one has cars in it, one has books in it. And the kids all know where that is. So they go over that. They'll pull out whatever book it might be the Whispering Rabbit. That's what it was yesterday, and whatever. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. And of course, we have the Little Red Hen. That one I bought brand new because I wanted to make sure we had that book. Oh, that reminds me of another one. There was a story. It was in one of the Richard Scarry books, I think. I think it was Richard Scarry. I don't know. I don't think he's a writer. He does the artwork, but there's the one about the two little mouse, the city mouse and the country mouse. And so they're friends, and the city mouse comes over to the country mouse and convinces her to go back to city. But she's in the city and she realizes, oh, this is horrible. It's scary. I hate being here. And so she goes back home and realizes that how much she loves the simple country life. It's safe. But it was something else about what was said there. And I'm like, oh, that's so perfect. That's so perfect. It's so true. And I'm like, this is an old story, and yet it's still so true today. Uh, yeah, I think, Linda, I agree. I really think that would be a good thing. Um, I want to leave something behind for my grandbabies. I want to be able to teach them as much as I can. I'm you know, show them how to do things, give them maybe some extra information that maybe they're not going to be able to get at home, or hopefully, I think Jace is going to be homeschooled as well, but I'm thinking we'll probably, because both parents work a lot outside the home, I think that will probably fall more to us, which is fine. Um, Homeschooling is not as hard as people think. I want to do another video on that. But if I have any younger people in here that have young kids, or even if you're like me and you have young grandbabies and you want to homeschool them or help homeschool them, I have a couple of videos out about homeschooling. And I think one of the last ones I did was like, you can homeschool in less than 2 hours a day, even with older kids. And here's why. Well, first of all, I know in Washington State, the law when it comes to schooling, I don't know what it is and what the age is in any other state but Washington. But a lot of people here do not even know this. But you legally do not have to formally educate your children until they're the age of 8. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, what's the first thought people are going to think? Oh, but if we wait until they're 8, they're going to be so far behind. No, they're not. If that kid is not ready for that kind of education at the age of 5 or 6, it's only going to very likely put them farther behind. But when a child starts learning when they're physiologically, okay, their eye muscles are fully developed, it's going to be more common in boys. They can have, this is why sometimes boys struggle, besides just being more apt to be kinetic, they're also more apt to have weaker eye muscles that take longer to develop than in girls, which is why boys are usually struggle more with reading in the younger years than girls do. I mean, this is generally speaking, obviously, but when you look at that, that's what you're going to see. And in school, they have to stick to a plan. They got to keep those kids moving. And so if a kid goes into kindergarten and they're not ready for some of the stuff that's being thrown at them, then they'll be put in what's called pre-first. That's here. Pre-first is just glorified kindergarten. And then those kids are made to feel stupid, not necessarily by the teachers, but maybe by their friends and other people, because they had to do pre-first. And if they don't get it by pre-first, they'll just go ahead and keep pushing them through the system. So what ends up happening is you have like, we have a family member. It's not one of my kids because I homeschooled them, but a family member who went through this, did the kindergarten, did the pre-first, still wasn't able to fully catch enough of the reading stuff that they needed to move on. So it's like, fine, let's just go ahead and push them through. And so what's happening then is they're being put in a situation where they're not ready to learn this stuff. They don't have the basics down. So they feel more and more left behind and stupid. And then they want to just give up. And so, but the school push them through and then graduate them. And then they come out still not knowing how to spell or properly read. Now, my youngest son, he struggled a lot with the reading. And I thought it'd be a piece of cake because it was so easy to teach my oldest. But then when it came to the youngest, I realized everything I used with Ryan wasn't going to work for Justin. and we had to approach it from a different way. We still believe in schooling them. We still were teaching them stuff, but we realized that we needed to give him time to develop. And when he was ready, he was definitely ready. And it was not, he learned how to read really fast. It took a while to get to that point, but you'll see that that's really, really common. I even saw that in teaching dance. I'd get kids that would join at the age of 3. And for some of them, yes, it did give them a leg up, no pun intended, but not necessarily. So I might have a kid that started dance with me when they were 3, and then they get to be 9. So they've been in class for 6 years. And then you'll get a 9-year-old that will join that same class that's totally new, that has never done anything dance related. And if they're properly motivated, they can pick it up quickly, because now they're mentally, physically, physiologically ready for it. They can pick it up and surpass the one that was in dance from the time they were 3. Doesn't matter. I mean, I teach them all the same. But yeah. See, Rain Country Story Time. Could you record yourself reading to the grandbaby? Well, I could, but I'd probably like to do it a little bit differently, especially since I'm not really sure how my kids feel about their kids. I mean, sometimes I'll show little pictures and maybe little video clips, but for the most part, you'll see I don't show my grandbabies a lot out of respect for them. So to read it every single, what was that one? Son's favorite book. Which one was it? I missed it. Oh, when I was going to go up and see what Linda's thing was. Oh, the Are You My Mother? Yep. I was laughing. I was in the kitchen doing something. Oh, I was straining out the valerian root tincture. Ugh. Hopefully that smell is finally out of my house in there. I did it in the laundry room out here so it wouldn't stink up the whole. It still stunk up the whole house. But anyway, I was in there working on that, and I could hear Patrick reading that part about what was it? It was when he gets on it's a heavy equipment. I can't remember what it is, but the little bird calls it like a grunt, a snort. You're not my mother. You're a snort. That part just cracks me up. It's so cute. Anyway, so here's the deal. So today, well, I always get up between 3:30 and 4:30. This time of year, it's usually between 3 and 4, but I try to sleep until at least 3:30. And I'm like, well, I knew that I was going to have to watch Jace, but I still have videos to shoot. So I got up at my regular time, but I just got busy, got myself showered and all ready to go, and shot my this and that video and shot my other video. So I'd have it done before Jace got here. And I really liked that. It worked out nice. So even on the days that grandbabies aren't here, I think I'm going to start doing that, because then I can start editing right away. And I feel I have this broader amount of time between the live show and the last video I shot. So my this and that, I'm almost done editing it. I just actually got to do, usually I go all the way through the video, edit, add pictures, do this and that. Then I learned this early on. I go back and play the video again. I still miss stuff. I still misspell things and don't catch it even in the rewatch. But most of the time, I'm more apt to catch it on when I go through it again. So mostly that's all I got to do is go through it again. And I'm like, wow, I got most of that done before my live show. And so I should have time to start the second video that I shot, which is cool, and still get my regular chores done. So that's pretty cool, which I usually do. I'll make it work. But anyway, but I should get going and start getting some stuff done. So tell your friends, tell everyone that if they want to catch Rain Country Live, they're going to have to go to Rain Country Live, which is this channel that you're on right here, because I'd like to get as many of my current subscribers on the main Rain Country channel over here. Again, I know not everyone likes lives, but don't forget, I'll still have for those people who like shorts, I'll still have at least one short coming out every week. Some of them are new ones, and some of them are ones I'm taking from the old channel and putting over here. So I just remove it, put it over here instead. And yeah, so I can have, I see some people are coming in and seeing back here, or must have started the show after from the beginning and came in late. So that would be an awl, a sewing awl. But you'll see that if you keep watching. They're probably not hearing me because they're not to this part yet. Anyway, lives are so weird in that way. But anyway, thank you everyone for being here and for dropping in, for my mods, for all their hard work and helping out and talking to everybody, giving them answers, giving them links, blah, blah, blah. I really, really appreciate all that. And for anyone who comes in, who asks questions and just interacts, we have so much fun. I enjoy, I've been saying this a lot, but it's so true. I really, really enjoy this time. I get so excited before I come in here to start the show. I'm ready to go. And then I have to go to the bathroom 5 times because I'm so excited about getting started because I enjoy it so much. It's great. It's just this more real life interaction. And anyway, hope you all have a great rest of your day and rest of your week. And I'll see you here again this coming Sunday. I have a fun topic for this Sunday. And take care and God bless. And then I have to press 50,000 buttons before I can get out of here.